Cream cheese frosting is not too sweet and pairs perfectly with loads of cake and cupcake recipes. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make it, how to cover a cake with smooth cream cheese frosting or adjust it to make a cream cheese glaze, how to pipe with it, how to colour it, and how to store it. To make cream cheese frosting, the key is to use room temperature ingredients to prevent a lumpy, bumpy mess. It's important to use cream cheese from a block, not a tub, because that will be too soft. And definitely don't use whipped cream cheese because that's aerated, which will cause air bubbles in your frosting. Take your butter and cream cheese out of the fridge 4 hours before you use them, and once they're both soft, the first step is to mix them together until they're combined into a pale, smooth mixture. Add icing sugar or powdered sugar, which needs to be sifted so there are no lumps in that either. And don't overmix this because you'll break the cream cheese down and make the frosting too runny. Stop mixing when it's smooth and add vanilla and salt. Mix those until they're combined, and now it's ready to use. If you make this in advance, cover the bowl with plastic wrap like cling film or saran wrap and put it in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. More on storing cream cheese frosting later in this tutorial. To adjust the stiffness of this cream cheese frosting, just adjust the amount of sugar. The quantity in this recipe is perfect for frosting a cake or to pipe with, for example, swirls on cupcakes. But if you want your cream cheese frosting to be less sweet, you can use less sugar. But be aware that the consistency will be a lot looser or runnier. So you'll have much softer, less textured piping, and it will be difficult to frost a cake with smooth sides and sharp edges. For really smooth frosting, follow the recipe as written and chill your cake in the freezer for 15 minutes before you frost it. Apply a crumb coat first, which is a very thin layer of frosting that catches and traps any crumbs that come off the cake, so that they don't get into your final coat of frosting. It's especially important to use a crumb coat before your final coat of frosting if you're using cream cheese frosting, which is more translucent or less opaque than regular buttercream frosting. For the final coat, spread your frosting on generously and push it up above the top edge of the cake, because cream cheese frosting is looser than regular buttercream, so it tends to sink. Having that lip around the top edge of the cake will help you get sharp edges later. Smooth the frosting with a cake comb until you're happy with the sides. For the top, push sideways with an offset spatula or your cake comb, not down, because that will cause a bulge in the frosting around the top of the cake. You can pipe borders or swirls with this cream cheese frosting and the texture will hold its shape. If you find that the frosting is getting softer as you pipe with it, from the warmth of your hands on the piping bag or the warmth of the room, put the piping bag or bowl of frosting into the fridge for 5 minutes to chill it slightly, and that will make the frosting stiffer, so it will hold its shape better and there will be more texture and definition in your piping. Cream cheese frosting isn't as stiff as regular buttercream, but it's stable enough to support another layer of cake on top, so you can use it as filling for cakes, even for naked cakes. You can colour cream cheese frosting just like buttercream, using liquid or gel colours, but I recommend gels because they're much more concentrated than liquids, so they'll give you bright and bold colours without making the frosting too watery. But, as I mentioned before, if you overmix cream cheese frosting, you'll break down the cream cheese and the frosting will become less stiff, or more runny. And if that happens as you're colouring it, you can either put the bowl in the fridge for 5 minutes to chill it, so that it firms up a bit, or you can add more sugar, which will stiffen it. Cream cheese frosting pipes beautifully and has a gorgeous shine to it too. To use this cream cheese frosting as a glaze, microwave it for 30 seconds and add milk a spoonful at a time until you can drizzle it with a spoon. Ladle it over your loaf or cake and it will run down the sides, and although this will never set or crust to be firm, it's thick enough that it won't absorb into your cake and disappear. And it's just as tangy and rich and delicious as when it's thicker and stiffer, so it's still a very decadent topping for any dessert. Finally, how to store cream cheese frosting. You can leave it at room temperature for 4 hours, or you can store it in a Ziploc bag or Tupperware in the fridge for 2 weeks, or in the freezer for 2 months. Or you can just cover the mixing bowl with cling film or saran wrap and store it in the fridge overnight until you need to use it the next day. When you take it out, it will be very firm, so let it sit on the counter for about an hour before stirring it to knock out any air bubbles. If you use cream cheese frosting on a dessert, store that dessert in the fridge and take it out 4 hours before serving to let it come to room temperature, when it will taste the best. If you don't finish a cake straight away, cover any cut sides with cling film or saran wrap to keep the cake moist when you put it back in the fridge. Did I miss anything? Ask me in the comments. Go to britishgirlbakes.com for this recipe and lots more. Thanks for watching.